Hello and welcome to the fifth of our 2022 Vitality T20 Blast preview shows in association with our friends at the Cricket Draft. My name is Aaron, aka the Cricket Connoisseur, and joining me for today's show, as ever, are the three musketeers from the Cricket Draft. We have, of course, got in the top of your screen, Rory Law. In the bottom left-hand corner, we've got Dinesh Mahabir, and then in the bottom right-hand corner, we have got our resident expert from the Cricket Draft, Mr. Chris Dixon. So, chaps, obviously an absolute pleasure to get you on to the show for a chat about all things T20 cricket today. It was a very, very interesting game week, wasn't it, to be honest, game week 4. Not very high scoring. Unfortunately, the weather prophecy did come true, didn't it? Lots of games being rain affected, a couple being abandoned in the end. But at the end of game week 4, before we get into today's show, we have got, for the very first time in 2022, a tie at the top of our TCCP leaderboard. We haven't just got one leader, we've got two. Digvijay Joshi has been joined at the pinnacle by James Swift, the two of them on 7,312 points. So to both of those guys, well done. A fantastic game week in very difficult circumstances, and yeah, it's going to take a lot of work for us lot to catch up, to be honest, at this point. But who knows? Anything can happen. That is the beauty of the T20 Blast in 2022. But aside from Game Week 4, then, let's look ahead to this week's round of fixtures, Game Week 5. And to kickstart today's show, we do, of course, have our week overview. So, Rory, what are the key trends, the patterns, the stats, the pieces of news that we should be aware of heading into this round of fixtures?
So I think coming into this later stage, obviously there are much more double game weeks than there have been in the past. So there's probably less need of a focus on that, and then more of a focus on those elite players. I think for me at the moment, I'm going to be trying to get in batters who bowl, bowlers who bat. You look at someone like Glenn Phillips, who got a twofer for Gloucestershire last night. That's definitely something that goes on my radar, and he's in my team. Someone who bowls, but who can bat a bit up the order. I saw Rehan Ahmed, for example, batting 7 for Leicestershire the other day. Someone like Luke Holman as well went up to about 4 for Middlesex. So those kinds of things, very important. And then for me also, it's looking at the kind of trends of what the pitches have been doing this year. You look at a place like Headingley, you know you're going to get runs there this year. Lancashire v Yorkshire tonight, wouldn't want to be against any of those Lancashire and Yorkshire batsmen. And those kinds of things that you keep seeing crop up. It's quite easy to look at on Cricket Info, looking at scores down on grounds. You can sort it. It's worth having a look if you can.
Absolutely, Rory. Very, very good advice indeed. And actually, because you did mention the Roses match, that is taking place at Headingley tonight. Rory, I'll go to you actually for the prediction from the Cricket Draft. Who do you think is going to win that game?
I think Lancashire have got it. I think the batting is a bit too strong. I'm worried about injuries with Livingstone and Luke Wood, of course, but if they're fit, I don't see how they're beaten.
Yeah, to be honest, Rory, I would agree. But then again, it's a Roses match. Anything can happen. That is the beauty of a Roses game. And I'll tell you what, we've had some absolute classics at Headingley over the years. So, yeah, can't wait for that game personally. I think it's going to be an absolute blockbuster. And it's funny you mentioned Liam Livingstone because he actually might crop up in the next segment of today's show, which is, of course, our analyst picks. And to kickstart it, you know how this works by now. We do, of course, have our banker of the week, which is the marquee name that you should be captaining in your Cricket Draft side ahead of game week 5. So, Dino, I shall start with you first, mate. Who have you selected as your marquee player for game week 5?
Well, I've come full circle and I've gone with Brett de Oliveira this time around. I think there's so many options for captaincy now that everyone is doubled. So many good games that there's so many factors coming into play now in determining, like Rory looks at the venues and scores, the matchups, which bowlers are going to face who. But in this case, I just think that this team, the Rapids, are in a must-win situation. They've been boosted by a couple of good players, and I think Brett is kind of a bit free here in his role. And I just think this is the guy. Out of everyone else, I think he's bats in the power play. He bowls some effective spin, and they need him to win this next couple of games. So I'm going to bank on him. As I did in game week 1, he's been in decent form.
He has indeed, Dino. Just looking at the stats so far, 187 runs in 6 matches And obviously, with the fancy cricket element, you want that high strike rate, 161.2. I like that shout, Percy speaking, mate. I really do. But Chris, you haven't gone with Brett D'Oliveira this week. In fact, you've gone with, well, what has to be said, another massive marquee name, someone who may have cropped up already in today's show. Who have you selected as your banker for this week?
So I have gone with Liam Livingstone, but there is a bit of a but to this. I noticed last night he didn't come into bat in the end, so he may be injured. So I'm going to be keeping a very close eye come 6 o'clock as the teams come in to see if I need to tinker with that. But if he plays, there's no doubt in my mind that he's the banker out of all the all-rounders. He hasn't quite clicked for the bat. I mean, even that strike rate by his standards isn't quite to his potential. He's got a few wickets chipped in here and there, but he can go on beyond that. This is his last game week, I think, before he joins up with England as they go off to the Netherlands. So it's simply in my mind, if he plays, he's going to be my captain. He's the banker, but it does come with that caveat of checking the teams at 6 o'clock to see if he's playing tonight.
Absolutely, Chris. But again, fortune favours the bold. If he is in that team, he's going to produce the fireworks, isn't he? In particular, in a game like this, a Roses match, on the Sky Sports cameras, the lights are on him, the pressure's weighing heavy on those shoulders. He always comes good. So, yeah, we shall wait and see if he is in the lineup. If he is, though, a great shout, to say the very least. And Rory, what about yourself, mate? Who have you selected as your marquee player ahead of game week 5?
I've gone with, I think you could argue, one of the best ever players in the T20 Blast, Moeen Ali for this week. He's not quite hit the ground running yet. I know that, but the potential he's got is absolutely massive. He's batting 3. He goes really, really hard, particularly against spin. Into bowl a lot of overs. He's involved in every aspect of the game. He's captain. Worcestershire are going to need some big runs, and they're going to need Moeen Ali to turn on the heat. And whenever Moeen Ali needs to turn on the heat, I've always backed him to deliver, and he always has. So I'm looking forward to that inevitable ton. And then I've got him in coming for the next few weeks as well. Doubles right the way through.
Well, to be honest, Rory, I can't actually disagree with that choice at all. As you mentioned, he might as well change his name to Amazon Prime because he always delivers. He's absolutely fantastic. Is Moeen Ali. Again, a little bit disappointed that Warwickshire let him go all those years ago, and obviously makes us pay every single time in the Bears versus Pears derby, but what a player. And again, it is a small sample size, 2 games so far, hasn't had the greatest of starts, but again, you do back a player like that to come good in the T20 Blast. But aside from marquee players then, let's go on to our ones to watch. So these are under 25 players they should be looking out for heading into game week 5. So Dino, who have you selected as your one to watch heading into this round of T20 Blast fixtures?
Yeah, firstly, I think I might change my team name to the Inevitable Ton. I like how that sounds. But I've gone with Matthew Critchley this game week. He's 25 years old, so just gets in, Matthew. Look, another all-rounder who's been quietly doing the business and been so consistent in this blast. Some people have him. For me, he's a must-have. That's why I haven't made much changes this game week, because when you have guys like D'Oliveira, Critchley, Coran, Livingstone, as was mentioned, I'm going with Matthew Critchley this game week. I might stick with him throughout the entire tournament. I like this. Essex have a couple of easy games coming up.
Fair enough, Dino. And again, just looking at that economy rate, that's the real important thing for me. 6.3 runs per over. He's been Essex's second most economical bowler, so far behind only Simon Harmer. He's been absolutely sensational as Matt Critchley. So I can definitely get on board with that shout. And talking of economical all-rounders, Chris, that leads me beautifully onto your choice for this week. Who have you selected as your one to watch?
So I've gone for Sam Curran. Again, he's been batting 3 for Surrey. Again, he's been batting the last few years. He's been batting right up the top of the order of Surrey. He's got lots of runs so far. Great economy rate and one of the leading wicket takers. If not, I'm not quite sure he might even be the leading wicket taker so far in the tournament. So, yeah, I simply had to go with him. He's still under 25 again. Another potential captaincy candidate for people, given where he bats and the overs he bowls as well. So he's on the pricey side, though, 160k. I'm sure his ownership has gone up a lot and his form has gone up a lot. So his price is on the up, but he certainly offers you a good points return in most games.
He most certainly does, Chris. You mentioned about the wickets column. 10 wickets with a 6.52 economy rate. He's up there in the mix. He isn't actually the leading wicket taker. That is a certain Jake Lintott. So, yeah, he should also be in and around your team heading into this week. Not quite a one to watch in the same bracket as Sam Curran, but yeah, Jake Linsart as well, someone to watch out for. And Rory, what about yourself, mate? Who have you selected as your one to watch, the under-25 player to look out for heading into game week 5?
So I've gone for Will Snead, Somerset fan myself, have to represent it with my clothing choice. But also, I just think he's got 2 brilliant fixtures this week. Kent at home, then Gloucestershire away. He looks brilliant at Taunton. That's 2 innings where he's played against Essex, where he's played against... gone completely blank who the other one was, but it was the game we won. Oh, Glamorgan, where we won in about 14 overs, and he hit an incredible number of sixes. And I think there's not that many limitations to this guy. He goes hard. He's going hard early. He's going hard right the way through. He can hit a huge ball. He's got a serious rig on him. And I'm just going to back him to keep delivering every week. He's now set and forget. Batsman number 1 slot. There. Done.
Fair enough, Rory. Again, a very, very nice choice. And just the sheer power that he possesses is frightening, isn't it? At such a young age, his ceiling really is so high. 200 runs so far in 5 matches, a 176.9 night strike rate. Get him in your team. That is all I'll say. An absolutely fantastic pick, to say the least. And moving on to our third and final category of the analyst picks, we do, of course, have my favourite category, the wild card, the budget option, the under 100k pick, who could make all the difference heading in to game week 5. So, Dino, who have you selected as your wild card heading into this week?
I've gone with Michael Pepper again, guys. Salt and pepper combination. But look, there are a lot of opening batsmen that you can go with. You know, Rory just praised Smead, and I've got Smead in my team. But you know, Pepper was there on the bench, and he's climbing in value every week. He's just delivered in the last game week. And just like everyone else, it's up and down at the top. One game week there's a duck, another game week there's a big score. So Pepper's there. I'm not gonna take any hits this game week because everyone doubles on my team. So I'm going with Pepper again. He's got the footwork. On paper, Essex have got 2 games, as I said. So I'm fully behind it.
Fair enough, Dino. As you rightfully said, he's been in absolutely scintillating form. 18 fours so far, 8 sixes. I guess you could say that Michael has certainly been peppering the boundary rope in this year's T20 Blast. But moving on to our next wildcard then. Chris, I'll pass over to you, mate. Who have you selected as your, maverick choice, I suppose, heading into game week 5?
So I've gone for Luke Coleman. He's one, as Rory mentioned earlier, one of those bowlers that is batting right up the order. He actually batted 4 for Middlesex yesterday, just fits in just at 98k. Hasn't quite kind of gone to his potential so far this tournament. His economy rate's a bit high. He's got a few wickets. Hasn't got too many runs, but I'm a strong believer in, you go for long-term over form. And I believe he's got the potential, batting at 4 and his career bowling average is decent enough that he offers great value for his price. Basically playing as an all-rounder as he is. So that's why I've gone in this category.
100%, Chris. And again, you have to remember as well the surfaces that he's been playing on, small boundaries in Radlett. So again, that is a mitigating factor with Luke Holman's economy rate so far. And Rory, last but by no means least, who have you selected as your wildcard for game week 5?
I've gone for a man who, if there was a cricketing version of the football index and it wasn't a Ponzi scheme, I would have shares in. It's a man called George Scrimshaw of Derbyshire. Bowls heat, gets in that really good back of the length spot, and his death numbers are excellent and have been for the last couple of years now. He's quite a reliable man. He's not necessarily he's not come out yet with a big 5 for. I see a lot of potential in this guy. He's quick, he's accurate, he's going to be bowling at some fairly good venues this week, and that all-important triple game week next week that Derbyshire have. Wants to get him in nice and early for that, set him in there towards the end. So yeah, have a watch of this guy. I think he's a really good prospect and someone who I don't think will be staying at Derbyshire long, knowing their luck, sadly.
Oh, very, very interesting, Rory. I agree, though. He's a great prospect, had a lot of injury trouble towards the latter stages of his career at Worcestershire, but George Scrimshaw, yeah, watch out for him. He's absolutely box office when he's in rhythm and delivering that ball at a good pace. But moving aside from our analyst picks then, let's go on to our analyst 11s for the week. And Dino, I'll start with you first, mate. Who have you selected for this week's round of T20 Blast fixtures?
All right. This week I have not made many changes, and as you see it on the screen, I've got Smead, Eskenazi, and Pepper, the top 3 guys. Hales is on the bench, so that's a big risk for me because he could go big. And, I play 50-50 with the batsman at the top. They're in the power play. I'm thinking, one day they're going to go 50, the next day they're going to go duck. That's just the way it goes in the power play, right? So those are the three I'm with. Good fixtures, and then the big four of the all-rounders: De Oliveira, Livingstone, Critchley, and Curran, who I cannot decide who to captain yet. I'm leaning towards De Oliveira. It's got Critchley there. I'm back and forth. I'm not sure on it, but I am sure that Phil Salt will be my wicketkeeper. Excuse me. Lintott is there, Ahmed is there, and I've brought in Scott Harmer. And now I have 3 Essex players. Simon Harmer, my bad. And now I have 3 Essex players going into this game week. Just because their fixtures are all right on paper, and I just think this team has been underperforming, like a couple other teams so far in the Blast, who have been decent, but they're not up there with the wins. So yeah, I've gone with the Essex guys this game week, and the safe choice of Harmer comes into my team. Not many changes, but yeah. All game week, all of them double, and that's going to be.
Well, fair enough, Dino. Again, some lovely choices in there, to say the least. I, in particular, like the choice of Simon Harmer. As I said, his economy rate so far has been absolutely exceptional. And then, of course, Jake Lintott. Yeah, absolutely. No complaints there whatsoever. He's been absolutely outstanding so far for the Birmingham Bears. But Dino, aside from your 11 then, let's go on to yours, Chris. Who have you selected for this week's round of T20 Blast fixtures?
So for my batters, well, should we start by having a look at how my batters did in the last game week?
We can do, Chris. We do have that graphic on the screen.
Absolutely beautiful. 3 minuses over double game weeks. That's what you love to see. I mentioned the volatility previous shows about how scoring works. So if you get batsmen with ducks or low strike rates, or a combination of both, then you can end up with like that. So you're playing risk and reward with the batsman, and then you've got someone like Ben McDermott who went and smashed it. But as for this week, I've gone with Joe Cracknell, Will Smeed, and I brought in Finn Allen. Been looking at when to bring Finn Allen in for a while. Yorkshire got a double game week, playing at Headingley as well. There's a lot of opportunities for big runs. He's got one of the highest strike rates in the competition, so I've gone with him. Keeper is Michael Pepper, another double game week. My 4 rounders, I've got the big 3 of Livingstone, Moeen Ali, Sam Curran. As I mentioned earlier, Livingstone, keep a close eye to see whether he plays or not. But those 3 are big rounders. They, should all be bankers really, hopefully. And I've gone with Daniel Sams as my 4th. And then 3 bowlers, I brought in Jake Lintott. He's having a great season so far. Had the budget to bring him in, so I brought him in, got a double game week. And then also Rehan Ahmed and Luke Coleman, who offers great value as he bats as well. So that's my team for this week.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris, again, I like quite a few of those choices. Dan Sams is an interesting one. Really, really interesting one. But again, he's got high potential, hasn't he? In this year's T20 Blast, very powerful finisher as well for the Essex Eagles. Yeah, that's quite the strong team. And of course, you mentioned the Headingley factor as well. Will Finn Allen come to the party tonight? We shall have to wait and see. Again, that's been an absolutely fantastic game, to say the least, up in Leeds. And Rory, we'll save the best until last then, mate. Who have you selected heading in to game week 5?
Yeah, I've gone fairly destructive with my batting lineup this week. I've got Glenn Phillips, Riley Rousseau, and Will Smeed, hoping for some huge runs there, particularly in that Gloucestershire-Somerset game. My 4 all-rounders are Livingstone, Benny Howell, man with two first names, Ben Mike, and Moeen Ali as my captain. If Liam Livingstone's injured, I have got a man on the bench to replace him if needs be, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I've given the gloves to Stevie Eskenazi for want of having a keeper who actually keeps, and I want Glenn Phillips' bowling points. And with the ball, I've got George Scrimshaw, Jake Lintott, and Rehan Ahmed. So I've dropped Linsanity, but I've brought Linsanity back in, so it's fine.
And that is the important thing, isn't it? Hashtag Jake Lintott for England. Get it trending on Twitter. That's all I'll say. He's an absolutely fantastic bowler. Is the Birmingham Bears left arm leg spin wizard. But very interesting there then, Rory. And again, I must say, I like the addition of Riley Rousseau. I think that's the first time he's appeared on our preview shows in 2022. So, yeah, we shall have to wait and see. Will it pay off? Only time will tell. But, chaps, before we bring today's episode to an end, we do, of course, have to look at our personal leaderboard between us lot. And we do have this competition between 2 of the analysts on screen, Rory and Dino. And Chris, last week for the second show in a row, you got the prediction absolutely spot on. Because Dino, you're still the top ranked player out of us four. So well done. We're 4 game weeks in, and I'm just looking at the stats right now.
Scraping in.
The gap is actually growing. It's now 1,015 points between Dino and Rory. So Chris, again, as our predictor, who do you think will emerge victorious in game week 5? There is a 1,000 point gap, but I tell you what, all it needs is a Roddy Russo masterclass, and Rory's back in it.
Exactly. Yeah, I like the look of Rory's team this week, to be fair. I'm actually going to go with him this week. I think he's made some good changes. He's got a good balance for this game week, and like the logic and what he's done in terms of the Glenn Phillips thing and picking batters at bowl, bowlers at bat, etc. So let's see if that pays off.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we, to be honest, Chris? But I'll tell you what, if you get this right, we're changing your nickname to the Oracle, because all the predictions seem to be coming correct at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see. Folks, as well, to those of you watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments section below. Who do you think will emerge victorious in game week 5? Will it be the sceptical cricketer Rory Law, or will it be Crick Dino, Dinesh Mahabir? Let us know in the comments below. But that is essentially it from us 4 here at the Counter Cricket Podcast for today's T20 Blast preview show. To each and every single one of you wonderful viewers who's tuned in to today's show, thank you very much for doing so. And as always, guys, we'll see you on the next one.